wife's pulling away. You feel it every single day. She says she's done trying. And if you're watching this right now, I need to tell you something. Most guys in your exact situation are running hard in the wrong direction. They think they're fixing things, they think they're making progress, but they're actually making things worse. And here's what kills me about this. These men are smart, they're successful, they lead teams, they close deals, they solve complex problems at work every single day. But when it comes to their marriage, they're playing the wrong game entirely. And I'm going to show you the 5 relationship traps that catch high-performing men just like you. These traps explain why you can dominate in business but struggle at home. And once you understand these 5 patterns, saving your marriage becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. My clients tell me all the time that once they see these traps clearly, everything clicks. The confusion disappears, the anxiety drops, and they start leading their marriage with the same precision they bring to everything else. So let's dive into trap number 1. I call it the logic trap. Here's what happens. You try to explain your change to your wife. You try to show her you understand. You try to prove you're different now. But in doing that, you actually prove to her that nothing has changed at all. Let me give you a real example from one of my clients. His wife kept telling him, "I'm tired of you saying you understand me. I need you to actually fix things, not just talk about understanding." So what did he do? He walked up to her the next day and said, "I understand how upset you feel right now." He thought using the words, "I understand," would create safety, but it destroyed even more safety because she just told him to stop saying those exact words, and he completely missed it. Here's another pattern I see all the time. Think about it like this. You're in a burning building, and you stand at the door yelling, "I understand that there's a fire in there." But you're not grabbing a hose. You're not calling for help. You're not doing anything about the actual fire. You're just announcing that you see it. That's what writing letters about your change does. It shows your wife that you can see the problem, but it also shows her that you don't understand how deep the problem goes. But if you did, you wouldn't be writing letters and talking about your change. You'd be doing the work. Or, here's one that gets most men. You think solving her problems makes you the alpha. You think that fixing things for her proves your value, but subconsciously, you're sending her a different message. You're telling her, "You can't solve your own problems. You need me to do it for you." And that belittles her, even though you're trying to help. I see this pattern all the time with men who come to me. They think that if she doesn't see their value, that's her problem. They think they know what they bring to the table. But that mindset actually makes them look weak. It makes them look childish because it's pure ego talk, not leadership. Here's what's happening underneath all of that. There's a difference between conscious communication and subconscious communication. Your words hit her conscious mind, but your actions, your tone, your energy hit her subconscious mind. And the subconscious always wins. Think about what it really means to be a man of steel, to be completely bulletproof for a second. Level 1 is being fragile. You fall apart. Level 2 is when you have to tell yourself, stay calm, don't react, keep it together. But if you're telling yourself to stay calm, you're admitting that you're not calm. And level 3 is when you're so grounded that you don't even need to remind yourself. You just are calm. That's what I call the man of steel mindset. And here's what makes it different from just being bulletproof. A bulletproof vest can only take so many hits. Eventually, it wears down. Eventually, you still feel the impact. The man of steel mindset is different. When energy hits you, you don't just block it, you ground it, you channel it to the earth, or you transform it into something useful. Like Superman, taking a punch and staying completely unmoved. But here's the critical part most men miss. Superman's weakness isn't other people. His weakness is kryptonite. And in your marriage, you are your own kryptonite. Your insecurities, your reactivity, your defensive patterns, your victim mindset, those are what destroy you. Not your wife, not your situation, you. When you build the man of steel mindset, you become aware of your kryptonite. You know what triggers you. You know what makes you reactive. You know where you self-sabotage. And because you know it, you can protect yourself from it. You become your own worst enemy and your own greatest ally at the same time. That's what she feels, not what you say, what you are. Most relationship advice out there focuses on what to say. They give you scripts, they give you lines, they tell you to write letters or make promises, but that only touches the surface. It hits her conscious mind. It never touches her subconscious. And the subconscious is where trust lives. Inside the heroic husband method, we teach you how to communicate on both levels. We show you how to plant what I call seeds or evidence where you're not talking about divorce directly, you're not begging her to stay, you're making it about you and her versus the problem. And we pair that with other forms of evidence or seeds that are so natural she doesn't even realize you're leading. It's like the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer. A thermometer just measures the temperature. It tells you what's happening, but a thermostat changes the temperature. It creates the environment. Most men are being thermometers. They're measuring the relationship. They're saying, I see we have problems. I see you're unhappy, but they're not changing anything. My clients learn to be the thermostats. They change the environmental temperature and the emotional temperature around of the entire home. And their wives feel it before they understand what's the difference. When you learn to speak to her subconscious, everything changes. You stop trying to convince her. You start becoming the man she can't help but trust again. Trap number 2 is what I call the falling and striving trap. This one trips up almost every man I work with. Here's the trap. The more you try to directly create safety, the further you push her away. Think about falling asleep. If you lie there trying really hard to fall asleep, you stay awake. The harder you try, the worse it gets. Relationships work the same way. Some guys learn about creating safety and think that they're okay. I'll just let her, I'll just tell her that she's safe. So they say things like, hey, you can feel safe talking to me. But saying that doesn't make her feel safe. It makes her feel guilted. It makes her feel less safe than before. Or here's another one I see constantly. Guys try to guilt their wives into feeling safer. They'll say, good couples communicate well. Here's a book on communication. We need to work on this together. They think they're helping, but they're actually destroying safety because now she feels blamed for the breakdown. Or guys just try to talk about divorce directly. They think bringing it up prevents it, but talking about divorce brings you closer to divorce because it shows how selfish you're being. You're making it about what you want, not about what she needs. And reconciliation is always what she needs first. There's a reason why they call it falling in love. Because love is a falling game. Emotions are a falling game. And falling games require falling processes. But most relationship advice uses a striving approach. They tell you to try harder. They tell you to do more. They tell you to make promises. They tell you to write letters. That's like bringing a baseball bat to a tennis match. You're playing the wrong game entirely. Inside the heroic husband method, we teach you how to win the falling game. We focus on the 4 ingredients to surrender. We help you reestablish the right environment, and then we watch your marriage grow naturally. I know some people think I only focus on long-term changes. They say, but Noah, what about right now? I need a quick fix. But here's the truth. Those quick fixes actually put you in the wrong direction faster. The fastest way to win in the short term is by focusing on long-term processes because this is a falling game, and a falling game doesn't respond to force. They respond to leadership. They respond to presence. They respond to consistency. You'll see a lot of coaches out there trying to get you to the fear of missing out or FOMO into their approach. They'll promise you fast results. They'll tell you exactly what to say and do, and that's the biggest scam in the industry right now. And if you're serious about saving your marriage, you need to know the difference. If you're tired of guessing, if you're ready for a clear path that actually works, I've got 2 things for you. First, book a call with me and my team. That link is in the description below. We'll walk you through the exact game plan that's helped hundreds of men rebuild trust and reignite real connection, even when their wife has emotionally checked out. We'll show you how to lead with precision, not pressure, and we'll map out exactly what you need to do next. Or if you want to see how powerful our system is for yourself, grab our book in the description below. It breaks down the complete heroic husband method and shows you the exact framework thousands of men have used to save their marriages. Both links are in the description below. Don't wait. Now, let's talk about trap number 3, because this one is something nobody talks about. I call it the lack of safety trap. And this one explains why so many men get blindsided when their wives want out. Here's what makes the trap so dangerous. If you lack safety in your marriage, it's really hard to know you lack safety because there's no safety to tell you about it, right? Let me explain what I mean exactly. I had a period in my own marriage where my wife used to criticize me a lot. And at some point, she stopped. And when she stopped, I thought things were actually getting better. I thought she was happier. I thought I was improving. But the truth was the opposite. She didn't stop because things got better. She stopped because things got worse. She didn't feel safe enough to even tell me anymore. And I completely was blind to it. This is why so many men are wrongfully certain about their marriage. They think everything's fine. They think that they're doing things well, but they're actually destroying safety every single day, and they don't even know about it. Because the less safety you create, the less feedback you get. The less feedback you get, the more certain you become that everything's okay. It's really a vicious cycle, and it keeps you stuck at the peak of what I call is Mount Stupid. You're the most confident right now when you should be the most concerned. It's like driving with a faulty fuel gauge. The gauge says that you have half a tank. So you keep driving. You're confident. You're not worried. But the gauge is broken and you're actually running on empty. You don't know it until the engine dies on the highway. That's what lack of safety does. The marriage looks fine to you, but it's empty for months. And by the time that you realize it, you're stranded. I see this all the time with men who've come to me. They say things like, if she doesn't see my value, that's her problem. Or, I know what I bring to the table. You can see all the blind spots in that mindset. They're blaming her. They're seeing themselves as a victim. They're convinced they're right. And because of that mindset, they're destroying safety every single day. Their wives don't want to talk to them anymore. Their wives have given up trying to get through. And the less feedback these men get, the more convinced they become that their wives are the problem. They're trapped. Then they don't even know it. Some coaches out there actually make things worse. They tell you to avoid bringing up difficult topics. They tell you to wait for your wife to bring them up. But if the difficult topics are what's killing your marriage, how can you wait for her to bring them up? If she doesn't feel safe, she's not going to bring them up. That's the whole problem. Inside the Heroic Husband Method, we do the opposite. We teach you how to structure your environment so that you can see through your blind spots. We teach you how to think authentically so that you're not just all hypothetical and all theoretical. Most people ask themselves, how am I right? We teach, how am I wrong? That's how great thinkers operate. That's how great detectives solve cases. That's how great therapists help clients break through. Imagine you're a detective investigating a crime. A bad detective walks in and says, how can I prove this suspect is guilty? He looks for evidence that supports what he already believes. But a great detective walks in and says, how can I prove this suspect is innocent? He looks for evidence that changes what he believes. And by doing that, he finds the truth. Most men in marriages are bad detectives. They ask, how am I right? How is she wrong? My clients become great detectives. They ask, how am I wrong? What am I missing? And that's when they finally see the truth. We also teach you how to get rid of that victim mindset that keeps you blind. The more aware you are of your internal processes, the less they control you. And the biggest thing that we do is surround you with the right environment. One of our most valued parts of the program is making sure that you get checked by not only coaches, but from other members. It is the brotherhood. It is the environment that we create. Because you can use external perspectives to see what you can't see on your own. You need those external perspectives. You can't do your own brain surgery. Genuinely, you can't. Once you have that environment set up, we teach you how to create certain conversations using our frameworks. You're not just gathering feedback from coaches, you're learning how to have conversations with your wife that discover more feedback directly from her. And you're learning to welcome resistance, because resistance is actually your biggest opportunity. We call it the Man of Steel mindset. It's just beyond being bulletproof. It's about understanding that you are your worst kryptonite. Your victim mindset, your reactive patterns, your insecurities, those are all what kill your marriage. Not her, not the situation, you. So, we help you identify your specific kryptonite, what triggers you, what makes you defensive, what causes you to self-sabotage. And once you know your kryptonite, you can protect yourself from it. You set up your internal world and your external world to ground that energy, to channel it, to transform it into something useful. And that's when you become truly unshakable. Not because nothing hits you, but because when it does, you know how to handle it. You welcome resistance because resistance shows you exactly where your kryptonite is. And that gives you a chance to neutralize it before it destroys everything. Now, that brings me to trap number 4. And this one is crucial. I call it the resistance trap. Let me tell you about my own journey. That was perfect for 2 years. I planted all the right seeds. I did everything right. My wife told me that she could see my changes, but she wasn't running back to me. Then I had what I call my hell week. Everything went wrong all at once. Work fell apart. My health kind of took a hit. I was stressed beyond belief. And right in the middle of that hell week, my wife told me, nah, I'm not sure how I feel about us anymore. She was kicking a dead horse at this point, basically. But when we reconciled later, she told me something that changed everything. She said, Noah, I felt more trust from you in that 1 week than in the last 2 years combined. Most men give up during the dips, and some give up without even realizing that they're giving up. Here's why this happens. You've seen the emotional chart before. Event, interpretations, feelings, actions. The event doesn't determine how you feel. Your interpretation of the event determines how you feel. So when your wife gives you resistance, that event doesn't make you feel bad. It's how you interpret the resistance that makes you feel bad. For me and my clients, when we get resistance, our interpretation is positive. We see it as great. This is my opportunity to show my change. We see it as finally, something that's been killing the relationship is coming to the surface. Now I can do something about it. But if you interpret the same resistance as this is hopeless, she's done, there's no point, then you feel negative. Same event, different interpretations, different emotions. This is why you can put 100 men in the same room looking at the same thing and get 100 wildly different emotional responses. The event doesn't cause emotions, your interpretations do. So what usually happens during the dips, you get a bad outcome, you see it through a bad interpretation, you feel bad about it, your bad feelings lead to bad actions, your bad actions make the problem worse. Then, the worse the problem gets, the more you filter it through the same bad interpretation, and the cycle keeps going, never ending. This is when people hit the dip, which is the biggest opportunity of your life. And they tell themselves, what's the point? I want to give up. Think about a boxer in the ring. He's winning for 10 rounds. Then, round 11 hits and he takes a hard punch. He staggers, he's tired. His corner is yelling at him. And right then, he decides, I hate boxing. This sport isn't for me. But he doesn't hate boxing. He just is losing right now. And he's letting his emotions in that moment define his entire relationship with the sport. That's what happens in marriage. You're doing well, then you hit a dip. She says something that hurts, things feel hopeless, and you decide this marriage isn't worth it. But you don't actually believe that. You're just in the round 11, and you're letting the punch make you quit. People can't help but crumble during the dips because of what I call the corticoncentric bias. It's a tendency to see your emotions as true, but your emotions are not true. They're not reality. Just because you feel hopeless doesn't mean the situation is hopeless. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that that thing is bad. You only see it as bad because of your paradigms, because of your reflexive interpretations. The problem is that when most men are in a dip, they feel bad, and they believe their feelings represent truth. They start saying things like, this relationship isn't worth fighting for anymore. But they only think that because of how they're interpreting the situation, not because the situation is actually hopeless. If you believe those voices during the dips, the odds are you're giving up are very high. And the worst part is that you'll feel completely justified in giving up. You won't see any other way. Here's how to think about resistance. Imagine you're building a house, and the inspector comes by and says, this foundation has a crack, this wiring is wrong, this beam won't hold. You could see that as an attack. You can get defensive and say, you're just trying to tear me down. Or you could see it as a gift, because that inspector just shows you exactly what needs to be fixed before the house collapses. Resistance from your wife works the same way. She's not attacking you. She's showing you exactly what you need to do and what you need to fix before the marriage collapses. And if you welcome it instead of fighting it, you can actually fix it before it's too late. Inside the Heroic Husband Method, we teach you how to see resistance differently. We teach you how to reframe the dips, or what we call is valleys and troughs, and make those opportunities. We teach you the man of steel mindset that goes beyond just holding your frame, because holding your frame is surviving approach. It's clenching your fist to keep your composure. That's not strength. That's fragility in disguise as strength. Real strength comes from understanding you're your own kryptonite, from knowing what triggers you and neutralizing it before it destroys you. from grounding the negative energy instead of letting it rattle around inside of you. When you have the man of steel mindset, resistance doesn't break you. It reveals exactly where you need to grow, and you welcome it. Because every time you ground that energy, every time that you stay calm when she tests you, you build more trust. Not during the easy moments, during the hard ones. Which brings me to the final trap. Trap number 5, and I call it the script trap. This one ties everything together. Most people think trust is built by what you say and do. But what you say and do matters very little. Let me do a thought experiment with you. Imagine there is a device that you can put in your brain. And this device tells you exactly what to say and do in every situation. All you have to do is follow the instructions. Now imagine your wife finds out about this device. Would she feel safe? Would she trust anything that you say or do? Of course not, because she knows it's not really you, it's the machine. This thought experiment shows you something critical. There's a deeper conscious behind what you say and what you do. That consciousness is what trust is built on. Trust isn't built on your words. Trust is built on the consciousness behind your words. What you say and do only works if it feels congruent with who you are as a person. The danger with most relationships and most relationship programs is they only focus on what to say and do, but they don't focus on who you need to become. They give you a sword, but they don't teach you how to use it. And if you swing that sword without training, you're going to cut yourself. It's like handing someone a Ferrari. The car is perfect, it's powerful, it's built for speed. But if you give it to someone who's never driven it before, what happens? They crash, not because the car is bad, but because they don't know and they don't have the skills to handle it. Scripts are the same way. The words might be perfect, the framework might be powerful, but if you use it before you've done the internal work, you're going to crash. You need to build that skill first, then the tools work. Inside the Heroic Husband Method, we teach you what to say and do much later in the process, okay? We give you what I call is an excavation script and my deferment ladder, as well as some light early scripts. It's a framework, right, for conducting conversations while your changes are in progress. But we give that to you a little bit later because first we focus on your man of steel mindset, the internal leadership and internal shifts that you have to go through. Because if you learn what to say and do before making the internal shifts, it might work sometimes, but most often than not, it's going to cause more damage. You need to become the man those words come from naturally. You need to align your consciousness with your actions. That's when everything lands. That's when she feels it. That's when trust starts to rebuild. Not because you're saying the right things, but because you're becoming the right man. So here's where we are. You've seen the 5 traps that catch most men. The logic trap, where trying to explain your changes proves you haven't changed. The falling and thriving trap, where trying harder just pushes her further away. The lack of safety trap, where you can't see that you're destroying safety because there's no safety left to tell you. The resistance trap, where the dips are your biggest opportunity but feel like your darkest moments. And the script trap, where words don't matter unless they come from real internal change. Once you understand these traps, everything gets simpler. Not easier, but simpler. My clients say it all the time. Once they see these patterns clearly, reconciliation becomes obvious. They stop running in the wrong direction. They stop trying to strategize, and do strategies that backfire. They start leading with precision and their wives start responding. Because speed is only good when you're pointed in the right direction. But here's the truth. Understanding these traps intellectually isn't enough. You need to know how to apply them. You need to know what internal shifts to make. You need to know what actions to take and when. And you need a support from men who've already walked this path. That's why I created the Heroic Husband. It's a complete system designed for high-performing men just like you. Men who lead in business but feel lost at home. Men who are tired of guessing. Men who want a clear plan that actually works. If that's you, here's what I want you to do. Book a free call with me and my team. That link's in the description. On that call, we'll show you exactly the steps to take based on your specific situation. We'll map out your path forward, and if it feels like a right fit, we'll show you how to work with us inside the program. Or if you want to see how powerful our system is for yourself, grab our book in the description below. It's also called the Heroic Husband Method, and it walks you through the complete framework for rebuilding your marriage from the ground up. You'll learn exactly how to create safety without chasing, how to rebuild trust without begging, how to lead your marriage with the same precision you bring everywhere else in your life. So check that description below. Book your call for more personalized help or grab the book for the full system, because every day you wait is another day you're running in the wrong direction, and your marriage can't afford that. I've been in the darkest places you can imagine in my own marriage. I know what it feels like to think it's hopeless. I know what it feels like to watch your wife pull away and not know what to do. But I also know what it feels like on the other side. I know what it's like to rebuild the trust, to reignite connection, to lead your family with clarity and confidence. And I've helped hundreds of men do the same thing. Men who were told their marriage was over, men who were facing divorce, men who thought they lost her forever. And now they're living proof that it is possible. So if you're ready, check the description below, book your free call for a custom game plan, or grab the book to see that powerful system for yourself, because you don't need to guess anymore. You just need a plan. And I'm going to give that plan to you. The links are waiting for you in the description. Let's do this.